Hello and welcome to Too Many Movies, the podcast where we discuss DVDs, Blu-rays, and even the occasional VHS tape. I'm your host, Hal, and do you guys hear that? Do you hear that? It's time for an emergency Too Many Movies episode today.
Oh no! When you did like the ding 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 sound, I was thinking of like the Mystery Science Theater thing. Is that what that's about?
No, this is an emergency recording. This is a last-minute episode. I did not have this planned at all.
Yeah.
Um, because we have a different episode. I had a different episode planned for this weekend, but that had to be pushed back. You will all see it when it happens. It's gonna be good. But so I was like, you know what? I have time to squeeze another episode in. I'll just make one up because I feel like I have so many planned, but they're all movies that are just movies that everybody's heard of. And I thought, you know what? This is a perfect opportunity for me to force my friends to watch a random movie I have never seen before. So, Lazy, you're here.
Yep, I'm here.
And Ketchup's here as well. Hi, Ketchup.
I got
The
a
first,
DM
the
and I
first.
was confused, so I'm just happy to be here.
Exactly.
This is the first regular Too Many Movies episode I've been in since like the Mario one, and it's because Hal kept me in his basement the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you've been a good boy, so now you get to be out of the basement now.
Yes, yay!
To
You,
talk
I, you
about
took me off the leash.
to talk about the slime people. That's the movie we're talking about.
Slime people, correct? Yeah, when you notified me about that, I thought it was just some like Nickelodeon Rule 34 shit or something. I was like, what is this?
No Nickelodeon, no Rule 34. Unfortunately, it's a movie from the early 60s. I have it on this clicky case DVD from Rhino. I think it's Rhino. Yeah, Rhino Home Video. Um, a little backstory. I went to this comic book shop in Salem, Massachusetts. There's this really cool comic book shop that actually has a movie section. And I've been there a couple of times. I've gotten some things that I'll show on future episodes, I'm sure. But I think it was the most recent time I went there. When I went down to Salem to see Hundreds of Beavers, because that was like the closest movie theater that was showing Hundreds of Beavers back in April. Um, and while I was down there, I was like, hey, you know what? Let me visit that comic shop, and I found the Slime People on DVD, and the cover is just hilarious. It's so corny and cheesy, and it says at the front, up from the bowels of the earth. I just couldn't resist. I had to get this. And so it's been in my collection for a couple of months. It's been enticing me to watch it, to be like, oh, is this going to be like a really funny bad movie? No, it was very disappointing. Lazy, why don't you start off? What did you think of the Slime People?
It was so boring. It was like the longest 1 hour and 16 minutes of my life. Like it's like it didn't start off so bad. Like it was just kind of like, oh, this is kind of boring. Or this is like kind of funny. Like the first 30 seconds of the movie are just showing the slime monsters that are coming out of like this like contraption underground. It looks like they were just like shoved inside like a Hollywood like studio underground set or something, and they just like because it's like confusing because they are like these slime people like so I think the backstory to the whole thing is that these slime people live in California, and so they are trying to get revenge against the humans because they are doing some kind of construction underground, and so they're trying to kill them for revenge. Is that the whole thing?
Uh, that's a good question. That's a good point, Burble. Not Burble, Gurgle. No, wait. Fuck. I guess this movie is so bad it's making me not remember properly my inside jokes. God damn it. um,
I also wondered like as soon as the movie opened, like the giant like slime monsters, like they kind of reminded me of the designs of the Skeksis from Dark Crystal, if I'm pronouncing that right. I was
uh,
wondering, oh, is this why you recommended it?
no. I mean, if anything, they look more like the crab monsters from the Dark Crystal. the
Oh, maybe I
Gartham.
was getting that confused.
Yeah, the Skeksis are the bird lizards, like the main villains.
I was thinking they kind of looked like that a little bit with like their
Yeah.
beaks, I think. But
Yeah, I think they look more like the Gartham, which are like the crab monsters that they use as like their guards slash slaves and stuff like that.
They look a lot like Boss Nass from the Phantom Menace to me.
They do look like Boss Nass. We saw the Gungan army.
yeah. I
Um,
wrote some notes during the whole thing. I believe we all gave this half a star, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
Ketchup. I want to give you a chance to say what are your thoughts on this film? Opening thoughts.
So admittedly speaking, my mind completely blanked on most of this movie. I don't remember a damn thing about it.
That's fair.
But to be fair, part of it is because like in the second half of this movie, it's kind of just nothing but fog machine
Yeah.
haze across the entire screen, and you can hardly see anything that's going on.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Apparently, this movie had a budget of around $80,000, and they ran through all of that money in 9 days of shooting.
Oh, just every sort of disaster is going wrong.
Honestly, that would explain a lot for why it's pretty much nothing but fog.
Yeah, I mean, while watching this movie, I came to the realization pretty quickly the exact kind of film that this is. You know, it's this very cheaply made movie from the 50s and 60s that is supposed to be forgotten to time because nobody remembers these, except they get brought up because of Mystery Science Theater 3000 riffing on it, or like this DVD. For some reason, Rhino Home Entertainment just thought it was like, well, we gotta put this on a DVD because it's one of those cheesy movies from the 50s and 60s people can riff on. And it's like, yeah, but there's better movies to riff on than the fucking slime people. You know what I mean?
It's also confusing to me because, like, at first glance, this looks like prime B movie material, but from my understanding, this was never made with the intention of being, nor was it released as a B movie.
Right? Yeah, no, because it was released at a time when people didn't really understand they could make this. They could market it as a so bad it's good film. They were legitimately trying to market it as a real film, and they failed horribly.
Well, even then, a lot of B movies were made with the intention of being low budget and being bad, but used as like a marketing way of saying, "Hey, you want to go out and see Invasion of the Body Snatchers, an actual movie? Well, we got a deal for you. You can also go and see this other movie that you've never heard of before that's only being released alongside this movie you actually care about, but we can also drive up the price of tickets because of that."
Yeah, exactly. So that makes sense. Lazy, you said you had notes you wanted to take, or that you had taken.
I took notes during the whole thing because
that's impressive.
The movie is like an hour and 16 minutes long, but it probably took me closer to like 3 to 4 hours to finish the whole thing because it was so boring. I kept like texting a friend because of this video I'm currently working on, and I'm like adding notes to it. And I was like, oh fuck, I have to go back and watch this movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm so upset now. I have to keep watching the slime people.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so real.
Yeah, the opening scene. Did you notice like the kind of jarring editing like choices? Like it kind of felt like it was like it opened with like the slime person just came out of underground, and then it cuts to like a person like lying on the beach with like a spear stabbed on his back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so again, it's like they already gave away the design of the monster in like the first 5 seconds of the movie when like it broke the rule within like the first like 1/1000th of the runtime.
Yeah, it's the opening scene is supposed to hook you because there's no dialogue, it's all visual, and you're supposed to be like, oh, what is happening right now? I need to know more, but it does a horrible job at showing you anything interesting. It just shows them rising up out of an LA studio, and then you just see a dude on the beach with a spear in his back, and you're just like, why should I care? Like, this doesn't hook me at all. It's literally nothing is happening. Nothing is happening, and I'm not at all hooked. I'm just watching it because I have to do a podcast episode on it. That's it.
The biggest hook I got was from the Mystery Science Theater introduction. Mostly because this was my first time watching like a full feature film episode of Mystery Science Theater. On I can see where the main inspiration of the Nostalgia Critic came from.
Yeah.
Because those people were they were resonating strong shark eye energy.
Another note I wrote in is that after that opening scene, so it cuts to like a main character. He's trying to he's like in the middle of a storm, so he has to like lower his plane and like land somewhere. And like as soon as he lands, he notices like this weird like gooey stuff, which I assume is slime on his plane. But like I thought the slime people only live in California, so how did he get slime on his plane as soon as he landed?
That's the weird thing about this movie is that it's called The Slime People, but it's not a very slimy movie. It's not a very like, and I should know. I'm an expert on slimy and gooey films after watching Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. Like that's a very gooey and slimy film. This film just does not contain slime. It's just weird reptile rock people slowly moving throughout the movie, chasing these people. It's flagrant false advertising. So.
It's also a little embarrassing because this movie came out 4 years after the original The Blob.
That's true,
which
too.
is about a slime monster.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like that movie either, but that is about a slime monster. Exactly. Yeah. There's
actual slime in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you had mentioned you watched the Mystery Science Theater episode instead of actually watching the movie, which completely valid. There's been many of films I've watched the Mystery Science Theater 3000 version of the film instead of the actual film, and it's been slightly more tolerable. The movies still suck, and it's still apparent that they suck, but you need Joel and the bots, or Mike and the bots, depending on the kind of episode it is, riffing on it, because, I mean, that's where I've gotten my... Yeah, you guys have watched movies with me before. I riff the hell out of them all the time. Mm-hmm. Like, that's where I got it from, is the Mystery Science Theater.
The really tricky dynamic of going into I know this movie's going to be bad movie completely blind is trying to play the guessing game of, okay, well, is this going to be a so bad it's good type movie, or is there going to be a so bad but it's boring and it's making me want to just remove every single part of my body bad movie? Because like
it made me want the slime people to come with that spear and towards me and stab me, so I wouldn't have to watch it anymore.
Yeah. There's also the other element of like personal biases of elements inside of it, because it's like, if you're going to throw a bad B movie my way that features like more classical Universal monster-esque monsters in it, like I Was a Teenage Werewolf, then I'm going to be more interested in it from that angle. And if you're going to give me a funny bad movie like the giant Gila monster, I mean, I'm going to laugh my ass off whenever that monster comes on screen.
Yeah. It's always a gamble when you're not watching it via Mystery Science Theater. I think you're always guaranteed to be slightly more entertained with Mystery Science Theater. Even with that said, they do have their duds from time to time, but I would say occasionally they say a joke that's just so absurdly funny that you can't help but laugh.
Yeah, I'm not much of a Mystery Science Theater connoisseur nor expert. I've seen a couple of their gags and riffs, and of the ones I've seen, the short films that I've watched from their YouTube channel were definitely way funnier than any of the jokes that they made inside this movie.
This is an earlier episode too, because it's from like 1989 when they were.
Yeah. This is from season 1.
Yeah, they were more local at that time, and the intro, because the intro is so low budget, it's kind of pathetic. Whereas later seasons, the intros, the budget is a little higher. It's still incredibly fake and cheesy looking, but there's more of a charm to it. Whereas here, it's just kind of pathetic.
In general, a lot of the aesthetic and the acting of all of the Mystery Science Theater parts, there's a bit of a novelty of it to me, of it sort of matching this tongue-in-cheek this is sort of how B movies look and feel, and we're going to sort of play around those concepts. And I admire
Hmm.
that. I think it actually kind of helps with the identity of the show, since it's all about riffing on really terrible movies and short films and PSAs.
I did not get a chance to watch the Mystery Science Theater version. I just watched the movie on its own, and I was just miserable the whole time. Like, I wanted to watch the Mystery Science Theater version of it like after. I just didn't get a chance this morning because of like stuff going on. But
Mm-hmm.
and now this makes me want to watch that version, even if it's like one of the lesser episodes. Because you said it's like, I think you mentioned Hal mentioned already that like since it was earlier in the show's run, it was it was not one of their best works, but that would still be a lot better than just like watching the movie on its own.
There is a part when I forget which scene it was, but there's a part where they're just walking through the fog and Tom Servo goes, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. And at first I was like, okay, that's just a reference. That's not a joke. And then he goes, it smells like slime. And I burst out laughing really hard at that. Not because it's funny, but because it's so stupid it's funny. I'm like,
Yeah,
all right, you got me with that one. Because that is something I would say when watching this movie. I'd just be like, it smells like napalm in the morning. It smells like slime.
I think the one that got me the most is when in the movie, like the scientist character says the slime people, and then one of the mystery science characters says, "No, let's not get ahead of ourselves," or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's the most obvious and kind of dumb joke that you can make in that moment,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
like I am grasping for air
yeah.
watching this thing.
Exactly. Oh, one of my other personal favorites is when he goes to the phone. The guy in the movie goes to the phone and puts it up to his ear, and Crow Crow says, "Hello, this is the human race. We're not in right now." It's again, it's so absurd. But like, yeah, like you said, you're grasping at straws. So are they, because they're the ones watching the film for the first time, and so they're also grasping at straws, trying to come up with anything. And that's what I that's how I kind of look at films of this magnitude, is that they're so empty and devoid of anything entertaining that you literally just have to pull whatever the hell you can out of your ass just to get some sort of entertainment from it. You're creating something from nothing.
Yeah.
Did you notice that one of the news reporters, like in that one scene where they're like breaking down all the exposition on like, oh, the slime people, they release fog into the air because so and so. Like one of the news reporters, his name is Doctor Bro.
Dr. Bro, I did not
Dr.
notice
Yeah,
that.
Bro.
That's so funny.
that
Oh
means
my
you got to
god.
change your name in the server from Doctor Love to Doctor Bro now.
I guess I do. Yeah, it's tis the season. Um, that's just something that I know it's a stupid movie, but that is something that kind of bothered me. How like we're supposed to believe that Los Angeles got entirely taken over in 2 days by these sluggish looking creatures from below the ground. I'm like, they have spears and they move at like 2 miles an hour. I do not believe they took over Los Angeles. I believe more so that the creatures in A Quiet Place took over the earth than these fucking creatures.
I would understand it if it was like today, because today's LA, oh yeah, they get easily overrun in like 2 hours. But
Dude,
in
is that a slime creature?
1962,
True.
mm, I have more faith in the 1960s police department than I do in today's Los Angeles police.
Exactly. Lazy, you're gonna say something?
Yeah, it's like yeah. So is this like some alternate universe where like they just like where like the military just decided to stop using guns against like any creatures or aliens that are just coming out of the ground? Because like one of the characters in this has a gun on him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And does it just like not work, or is that the reason why it just like they never end up being defeated in any way?
I don't know, man.
But until
It's
the end.
yeah, it's not explained very well. That's the thing. It's I think they came up with the creature design first and then wrote a script around that. And I say script very loosely. They probably wrote just dialogue on napkins. They got it like a local diner or something like that.
Yeah, and it was also like the last scene where like I could obviously tell like it was just like that you could see like the rubber costume on like the slime people like creature like costumes, like it was so obvious. Like I started kind of chuckling a little bit,
Yeah.
but that was really the most positive reaction I got
Yeah.
after those first 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's the thing with this movie. It's not funny. It's not fun. It's barely watchable via Mystery Science Theater. It's just drab and droll and nothing to it. It's not like other Mystery Science Theater movies that I've seen. Like Manos the Hands of Fate, I would argue it's not good, Manos. It's a horrible film, but it's fascinatingly bad. Like I have never not thought about Manos because it is so fascinatingly broken as a film that I will never forget it, and I would rewatch it over and over again. Now, when I say rewatch it, I mean rewatch the Mystery Science Theater episode because that is an all-time classic of theirs. This, however, is just nothing. You know what I mean?
The most
Yeah.
interesting thing that I could talk about is anything and everything surrounding the movie.
Yes.
Like how the producer and one of two writers is responsible, according to Letterboxd, for like 13 individual porno projects. Probably explains why the story is all about slimy people.
Yeah, it's a different slime movie.
Like in terms of the movie itself, like the most my brain could really comprehend was a constant statement of, man, these people do not know how to use lighting.
No. Yeah.
These every single scene is so horribly lit, and it's not even a case of like, oh, I can't see anything because of the fog. Actually, just looking at like the more normal, they're in a building and the two people are talking to each other. There's like no light reflecting off of anybody's faces. It's entirely natural light, and so you can hardly see any actor emoting because of it.
Yeah, no, it's completely horrible. Yeah, and like you said, it's not even it's just you'd think the argument could be, oh, it's moody lighting to make it stand out more, like all the harsh shadows like you'd see in horror films, but no, it's just it comes across as amateur and shoddy, not at all intentional.
Yeah,
There's
it would
also
look
that
flat
part in the
in
middle.
like a colored film, but because this is black and white and the contrast between light and dark of coloring is so important, it makes everything look really ugly and hard to follow.
Yeah.
There's also that part in like the middle of the movie. Doesn't have to do with like the lighting, for instance, but like it almost like it set up like this whole like romantic like relationship between like one of the girls, and like her name was like Bonnie, and like the guy with the gun.
Mhm.
And so they were like, I love you, and like they kissed, and like they both looked so uncomfortable, and then like after that the guy was just like, I shouldn't have done that. And then like it was just like, and then that their relationship was never brought up again.
Yeah, they're
It,
just
it really is that apocalyptic trope of we are potentially the last human survivors. We must fuck right now.
yeah, exactly. Which you can do that
I
well.
believe Padme and Anakin loved each other more in Attack of the Clones than these goons did.
Yeah.
I believe that too. Yeah. That's the thing. You can do that well. They just didn't because it's the
Mhm.
slime people.
Yeah, and also because like I think it's something that a lot of people really don't think about like right here, right now in the
Mhm.
moment, because like there is actual proper scientific backing stating that people or animal species in general that understand and identify that they are part of a fleeting species are more likely to hyper reproduce.
Mhm.
I think this is like one of the valid criticisms that can be thrown towards A Quiet Place this way, because like on paper it's like, why did they fuck and have a child in the midst of all of this? And it's like that is a proper explanation for why, but the movie itself never actually explains it. So
Yeah.
to the audience, it's just a natural case of, well, why did they do it if they
Yeah.
know that they're in danger?
That's actually interesting. I'm glad I learned that.
This movie makes A Quiet Place look like The Thing.
Obviously. It really does.
I don't like A Quiet Place. Like
No.
I didn't really like it even when everyone was like praising the hell out of it when it came out. I was just like, I feel like I've seen this premise done before though. Like
Mhm.
yeah, I know there's obviously like the contrivances and like the just like characters doing dumb stuff just because the movie needs it to happen, but like I feel like even like the creature designs, they already look like the ones from Stranger Things. Like there's just nothing really that original about this movie that makes it stand apart from anything I've seen before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt a similar way that I did like this summer when like Longlegs came out, because people were saying, "Oh wow, this is like a really good horror movie," and I was like, "Eh, it's just not that good." No, but Anyway, just like, oh yeah, obviously both of those movies look like god tier fucking Citizen Kane compared to this shit, but
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, better horror films, but still not good horror films.
Mhm.
as James Rolfe would say, but that's not saying much. It still sucks monkey fucking diarrhea up your fucking asshole.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, James. Yeah, so is there anything else we have to say about the slime people?
I
Uh,
think that was there anything else I was gonna say? Also, you know what I realized though? Like there was like a one of the things that they never even brought up is that couldn't they just nuke a bunch of the slime people when they showed up?
Um,
Just like have a bunch of helicopters come over and just like drop a bunch of grenades on them and just like blow up their entire species. Like it's
yeah,
just like such an easy solution to just like destroying all these motherfuckers, but like they're just like, what do we do? Oh, we just run away, I guess. I don't
yeah.
know.
The age old don't think about it. It just has to happen this way because we deem it so. Again, further reinforcing the idea of they came up with the design of the creature, which isn't that great anyway, before they came up with any story or plot points.
well, I'll slightly defend it on this point because it is not as easy as the government identifies that there is a supernatural conflict that they need to just drop a bunch of bombs on to get rid of within the span of 2 days. It makes me think of like in Resident Evil, how the Raccoon City incident that caused the entire city to become zombified, that wasn't properly dealt with by the government until I think about 2 weeks after it started. And it's because you have to go through the process of actually identifying that there is, in fact, some kind of supernatural occurrence happening there, and then get congressional approval to drop bombs on American soil.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's a complete breach of the political system, and it would also cause mass chaos and potential poor ratings from the president,
yeah, that's true
which the
too.
president
Yeah,
does not want.
yeah. So, oh, that's interesting actually about Raccoon City and Resident Evil. Like a more competently made, well, that's a video game, not a movie, but a more competently made story than the slime people.
Well, didn't they make like a Resident Evil movie, Welcome to Raccoon City? I
Oh
vaguely remember that
So,
came
yeah.
out in the
so
pandemic.
Welcome to Raccoon City is very, 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 very loosely based off of the second game, specifically the remake of the second game. And by loosely based off of it, I mean, uh, there's a couple shot-for-shot remakes of cutscenes from the game. And by that, I mean there's like three of them, and they're the best parts of the movie. The villain is William Birkin, but William Birkin is also like a snarky traditional evil villain instead of a Jekyll and Hyde type of man versus nature type of villain. Uh, None of the characters actually like properly represent who they are inside the game, except for Claire, who's kind of like how she is in the game, but even then, no,
Hmm.
because they just decided to not adapt Resident Evil 2 and do their own thing. And then all the Paul W.S. Anderson movies are more like, we took inspiration from the game. George Romero was actually approached to direct a movie adaptation of the first Resident Evil game, where he played through the game and had his assistant record his entire playthrough. And then he wrote a script that basically identified and captured the spirit of the actual story presented inside of the game, keeping true to the campy nature of the dialogue and including literally every single character from that game inside of the script somehow. And when he presented it to the studio was like, mm, "This is not exactly what we're looking for in a Resident Evil movie." And it was like, "What the fuck? This is literally as close to a Resident Evil movie you will get. I am the guy who made the movie this video game series was directly based off of."
Oh, that's so funny.
It's so funny.
Please tell me his let's play of the video game still exists.
I I actually have no idea.
I
I'm
think the
sure that
real
the footage is somewhere inside of like a cardboard box or something. I know that there's a documentary that's supposed to be coming out sometime this year, called George Romero's Resident Evil. It might include footage of his playthrough in there.
Nice.
And
I think the
I
real
really
Resident
hope it
Evil
does.
was Paul W.S. Anderson the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Heyo.
to be fair, those movies could be really funny. They can be really, really funny. And also, they did a decently okay job at adapting some of the character designs, especially when compared to Welcome to Raccoon City. Oh my god, they look so bad in that movie.
I'm more interested in checking out Borderlands because I've heard that movie's utter dog shit. And it does look like dog shit. So I kind of do want to watch it at some point, but
Yeah.
The silliest thing about listening to people talk about Borderlands is everybody complaining about Claptrap, and I'm like, don't you guys like the fact that he's annoying in the games? Because like every single Borderlands fan I've talked to has always talked about how they want to strangle Claptrap, yet they love him.
Yeah.
And then in the movie, they're talking about how much they want to strangle Claptrap.
That just
Well, at
sounds
least
like
it was
bad
faithful
on that
adaptation.
front.
Yeah. So slime people.
yes,
Yeah.
Slime People sucked. And I also want to hold the filmmakers responsible for the historical inaccuracies because there's no slime people in California. I checked. I went on a vacation there a couple months ago.
Yeah. So needless to say, I'm not keeping this DVD. I thought it would be funny to keep, but actually watching the film, I'm like, no, this sucks. This is not worth keeping in the collection. So bye-bye Slime People DVD.
Gone, but forgotten.
This is the first too many movies like normal episode I've been on where I did not have a DVD for this episode. I had one for Brazil and Super Mario Brothers, but I didn't even bother to buy one for the Slime People because why would I?
Yeah, exactly.
And then so next time we do one, I will have a Blu-ray for that one. Hint hint.
Hint hint. Ooh, I can't wait.
I was looking through my list because I could have sworn that this was like the exact kind of movie that would be on like that. I think it was Mill Creek, a 50 horror classics DVD box set.
Oh yeah.
The both of us own. It's not inside that collection.
Yeah, I think I've checked too, and yeah, I didn't see it in there either. Actually,
Yeah.
to kind of tease the next episode, one of the movies we're going to be talking about is on there, so stay tuned for that.
Are you
folks.
are you planning on talking about that box set to any degree?
I might bring it up. I actually did have a bit of a plan with that one. I'll talk about it after we're done recording because I don't want to spoil too much for the audience. But I'll just say stay tuned. And I'll also say, Lazy and Ketchup, thank you both for coming on today's episode. Very short episode. Lazy, why don't you start off by shouting your stuff out? Where can people find you?
Hey, so I am uploading to my YouTube channel now. I am currently uploading reviews, sort of like mini documentaries. Mostly just like I'm currently working on a bunch of stuff right now that's in the works coming out this month and next month, so stay tuned for that. And so yeah, you can find me there, Letterboxd. I guess you can also just find me on Discord if I, accept your friend request. So yeah, Lazy Bones Inc. is my full name.
And Ketchup, shout out your stuff.
I have a letterbox. I post pretty regularly. And I have a YouTube channel too. Nothing yet. I'm still working on it. There will be something eventually. I can promise that. And I also have Discord too. I do things on Discord on occasion, but I'm mostly on Letterboxd. Watching the
Excited for
movies.
your YouTube channel in the future, where you're gonna post.
Exciting future, not spoiling anything.
All right then. Well, I think that just about does it then. Have a slimy day, everybody. We've entered into Spooky Month because by the time I upload this episode, it'll be October. So hooray, Spooky Month! We're here. Yeah.
Ooh, took it long enough.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Just for you.